Mount Everest, written by Jack Handey. When I think back on all the times I've climbed Mount Everest, it brings a smile to my leathery, frost-bitten face. The first time I climbed Mount Everest, I was only 10 years old. I was lucky to make it to the top. I didn't know what I was doing. I was only wearing corduroys, a windbreaker, and Keds. After that, I decided to get some real mountain climbing gear. I got some boots with those spiky things on the bottom, and I got one of those ice pick things. To be honest, you don't really need the ice pick thing, but it looks cool in photos. You might also want to take some rope. Any kind will do. I've climbed using oxygen and without oxygen. Once I climbed using helium, so my voice would sound funny. When I was younger, I climbed Mount Everest 5 times in a row. Every time I got to the bottom, I said to myself, "What the heck, I'm going back up." I guess I must have been getting bored because about my 15th time, when I got to the top, I piled up a bunch of rocks to make Mount Everest a few feet higher, and then I stood on that. But the next time I reached the peak, someone had scattered the rocks and left a sign that said, "Don't pile up rocks." Screw you, I'll pile up rocks if I want to. Whether it's rude signs or altitude sickness, Everest is always a challenge. It's like a woman, a cold, unapproachable woman that you've made love to dozens of times. But sometimes you are denied. Once I was within a few hundred yards of the summit when I had to turn back. I remembered I had to go to a bachelor party back at base camp, and I would have been late. Another time I made the mistake of starting my climb after dark. Also, I was drunk. I stumbled around all night. Finally, at dawn, I struggled onto the summit. But it turned out to be the wrong mountain. Probably my most difficult ordeal on Everest was when I attempted to climb it nude. I hadn't started out nude, but it was a nice, warm day, and on my way up, I decided to take off my clothes and catch some rays. A blizzard suddenly moved in, and it blew my clothes away. I had a decision to make. I could turn back, or I could continue on naked. I decided to go on. The blizzard became worse. I got disoriented. Finally, I spotted a Sherpa's hut and knocked weakly on the door. The Sherpa answered. "Excuse me, sir," I said, "but I'm climbing Everest and I've become nude." I asked if I could spend the night. "You can spend the night," he said, eyeing me suspiciously. "Just don't try any funny business with my daughter." It was then that I noticed a beautiful, buxom gal peeking out from behind him. To make a long story short, I did make it to the top, wearing a woman's dress and carrying a load of buckshot pellets in my buttocks. Sometimes I wonder, how many more Everest climbs do I have in me? 100? 200? It's hard to say. All I know is that I hope I can keep climbing Everest until the day I die. And even after I die, maybe some type of high voltage stimulator could be implanted in my brain so that I sort of flop uphill spasmodically. That's my dream anyway.